Dear fellow Toastmasters, good evening and welcome to this after work of the 9th of December. So we are so glad to have you tonight as every time on Monday afternoon, on Monday evening. So it's a great honor for us to have you again this evening. We have our moderator, Ethel, that just had a little issue with her connection, but she probably is going to be back very soon during the show. But if she's not back, no problem. We're going to have our evening, with a very, very, very interesting topic that we're going to have tonight. So tonight we want to welcome you once again to this after work that we have today.
Indicate that I am back. I don't know if Thierry can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ethel. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So please take the floor, take your place, and just do your whatever you have to do. Because we had to start on time, so that's why I had to take over. So please, if you are ready, I give you the floor right now. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much for taking in for me as I was having some technical issues. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Toastmasters, good evening to everybody. To this after work session. As you all know, it is very important to share tips and information about.
All right. I think that we have an issue with Ethel. We have a very serious issue with Ethel, an issue with her connection. But nonetheless, we're going to move forward with our program. So very sorry about these glitches that we're having tonight with this. So we're very sorry about that. But we're going to have our session tonight. We're going to have a very, very good session. So we know that internet can have issues sometimes, but please stay glued, stay connected to this session because we're going to have a very, very interesting session. So remember to take a glass because we're going to present a toast this evening. So please remember to take a glass. And also remember that at the end of this session, we're going to have a few announcements that we're going to give to you. And beyond the announcement, we're going to have the breakout rooms. We have some topics that we can discuss with each other. So please make sure that you stay till the end. At the end is a 20-minute time that we have together so we can discuss with one another and get to know each other because we don't necessarily know one another in District 130. So without further ado, we're going to start because tonight we have a very interesting topic, how to make beautiful transition in a speech. You know that in Toastmaster, we come to learn how to talk, how to be good leaders. And tonight we have a Toastmaster, and she is passionate about learning and imparting knowledge. And that's what she's going to be doing tonight, imparting knowledge. And she's been a Toastmaster for the past 3 years, and she has served in several leadership roles. Treasurer, vice president education, president, and currently she's the admin manager of Division J of District 130. Ladies and gentlemen, dear fellow Toastmaster, Tonight, we have a seasoned Toastmaster who is learning and who is ready to share her learning and her knowledge with us. Please make a virtual or physical, whatever you want, round of applause for Toastmaster Khadija Zachary, who is our trainer tonight. Welcome, Khadija. Welcome to the Afterwork. How are you doing today?
Thank you, our moderator. I'm doing fine, and it is my pleasure to be with you this evening.
Excellent. So District 130 is here tonight to listen to you. We have about, for now, we have 25 people connected. We're going to have many more people connected as we are sharing the invitation and the flyer to many other people. And this is a very interesting topic. So what are we talking about tonight, dear TM Khadija? You have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Leaders, fellow Toastmasters, and I'm sure we have a couple of guests here. Good evening to you all. And it is rather sad that we are mourning a dear member of ours, the leader of Farmer Toastmasters Club. My condolences are with, my prayers are with the family, and my condolences to the entire Toastmasters family. So today we're going to be discussing how, should I start sharing my slides? Okay, yes. Share. So today, I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen. Go ahead.
Okay. So today we're going to be discussing how to create seamless transitions in a speech. Now, it is important that I'm sure that most of us are Toastmasters here, and we know some of these transitions, but hopefully at the end of the day we'll be reminded of these transitions. And to our guests, hopefully they will be awed by the resourcefulness of Toastmasters. But either way, it's going to be a win-win for everyone on call this evening. So transitions. What are transitions? Transitions are basically strategies and techniques used by speakers to move smoothly from one idea to the other in our speeches. So I want you to put in mind that speeches could actually be public speeches or presentations or even conversations. So transitions, they are like glues that hold our speeches together. And that is why it is very important and crucial for us to learn about them and know how to use them. So we're going to look at, the next slide will be, why should we understand or know or use, preferably, or use transitions in our speeches? Effective use of transitions can transform a good speech into a great one by making it more clear, coherent, engaging, and impactful. We have, because at the end of the day, when you're giving a speech, at the end of the day, the most important reason is for you to convey the message and also share information and engage your audience. So it's important that we look at these three important reasons why. There are so many reasons, but these ones are really important because it shows it makes up the entire goal of any speech at all. So clarity and coherence. Clarity in the sense that your speech is lucid and it's not ambiguous. So it lacks ambiguity. So it's lucid and it's easy to follow. Coherent in the sense that it is logical. It has an order from one point to the other. Transitions in your speech make your speech when they're disjointed, it makes it when there's no clarity and coherence, it makes your speech disjointed and confusing, and it is not easy for people to follow. So you find out that transitions make your speech clear, and it makes people easy to follow and increases the comprehension and engagement of your audience. The other reason is engaging that when you're giving a speech, you find out transitions. When there are transitions in your speech, it makes your speech engaging. Your audience are connected with you and they are following you from one point to the other. So you don't lose them along the line. So they become interested in what you're saying because they want to hear more, or the next thing you want to say. However, when you don't use effective transitions, you find that you lose them at some point, or within your speech, and then they become bored and they can't wait for you to end the speech. So isn't that one reason why we should use transitions in our presentations and speeches, is to engage our audience. The third reason why it is important for us to use transitions is to make our speeches impactful. Transitions can be used to make emphasis to key points or conclusions, making your speech more impactful and memorable. Transitions, helps you emphasize key points and highlight the connections between two different arguments, which makes the message more memorable and impactful. So those are the most important. At the end of the day, the goal of every speaker is to convey message, connect with the audience, and leave a memorable message at the end of the day. So this is the three important reasons why we should use transitions: to connect, to have a logical arrangement, to engage our audience, and also to leave a memorable message or leave a memorable impact at the end of the day. So let's look at techniques. There are different techniques that can be used, but these three really stand out, and they are commonly used by speakers. We have the signposting technique, and it's simple. It gives us direction and order. It is powerful. It is a powerful technique which emphasizes the beginning of any section. So this, as the name implies, direction and order. The moment you use these phrases or words, they give your audience a direction to what you are about to say. For example, we have firstly, secondly, next, and then we have finally. So how do we use signposting? You place signposting at the beginning of a new section, just to give your audience direction and order. When your audience have direction and order, they stick with you from one point to the other. So let's look at an example of how to use a signpost. Now, I don't know if some of us are familiar with, I came across this speech from Ricardo Leo on TEDx Harlem. I think his speech was how to triple your memory by using this trick. He started by saying, I have a little test for you. First, you get 30 seconds to memorize 10 words in the right order. After that, you get 30 seconds to write down what you remembered. And then finally, you get 30 seconds to check your answers. So this is a typical example of how to use signposting, giving you directions of where to follow, of giving your audience a direction to their thoughts. First, this is what you're going to do. After that, this is what you're going to do. And finally, this is what you're going to do. So automatically, your audience will follow you because you've given them instruction and you've given them an order on how to place their thoughts. So this is a typical example of how to use signposting. Now, there's a particular thing you need to pay attention to. Like if you're going to start by saying first, maybe your points are 3 points or maybe 4 points. You start saying first, second, thirdly. So remember, don't say finally, because you initially said 3 points. So you stop at just thirdly or the third point, and that's it. Don't be, other than that, perhaps you could use this by saying first, after that, and then finally, so that you don't confuse your audience. So another technique, the next technique, like I said, there are 3 techniques. The next technique is the previewing techniques. It gives you just a glimpse of the overall structure. It provides a roadmap, giving your audience a glimpse of what's to come, helping your audience follow the overall structure. Now, earlier, remember I said that a speech could either be a public speech, a presentation, or even a conversation. So in this case, after looking at how to use it, we're going to look at a presentation, not an example of a presentation instead of a speech. Now, how to use it at the beginning of your speech, when you're about giving your speech, give a brief overview of the main points you will cover. Just like the moderator did. That's an example of using a preview. He started by telling us what to expect. We're in a meeting, and he started by telling us, even before he introduced the trainer, he told us that we're going to listen to something interesting. So already he had our attention. We're waiting to listen to that which is interesting. So he has given us an overview of the structure of what's to come. And then throughout your speech, you remind your audience of key points using points you've already covered and what's still to come. That way you keep them connected. They know what's to come. They know when you're done in the beginning, they know you remind them of what's to come in the middle. So they are with you, they are connected to you all the way. So that is the importance of the preview method. So let's look at like I said, we're going to look at a presentation given by the CEO of a company to her head of departments. Now the CEO began, "We need to discuss the marketing strategy for the company's product launch to appeal to our target audience." So this is the beginning. And she has given them an overview of the structure of what's to come. They know they're going to talk about marketing strategy, the company's product launch, and also the target audience. So along the line, you can, when you're done with what you have already talked about and you want to go to the next, you can stop there. You can stop and then give another preview of what to expect. Like, for example, so far we've discussed the marketing strategy for the product launch. Let's now move to the sales strategy. So you're connecting with them and keeping them engaged and making them follow you all through. You're done with this, you're going to the next, and then that is how you continue keeping them engaged. And then finally, along the line, she also said, now we've covered the sales strategy for the product launch. Next, let's talk about the logistics of getting the product to the market. So that is a typical example of how to use the preview technique in providing transitions in your speeches or your presentations. In this case, we used a presentation. So this is a typical example of how to effectively use previewing technique to structure a discussion. The use of previewing helps ensure that your audience is focused and carried along, as everybody is aware of what to come, when it will come. So this is a typical example of previewing technique. So let's look at it. You remember I said three techniques. There are several techniques, but we're going to look at these three because they are most commonly used. The third is the recapping. The recapping technique. This ensures that your audience is on the same page with you. It's a technique that involves summarizing key points or ideas that have already been discussed. How do we use them? We use them by using different words to repeat key points. We use incorporating visuals like graphs, charts, or diagrams, and even asking questions. So remember, this is recapping. So when you get to a point, you want to recap so that you bring back their attention to you. You find out that maybe some of the audience are with you, but some are lost. But when you stop at a certain point and then you recap by asking questions, now those that are following you will ask questions, will answer the questions. Those that have lost you somehow would want to be part of the conversation. So as you move forward, they will try to remain on track. So because they know you will eventually ask questions, and they also want to be part of the conversation. So it's important. This is just a typical example of the recapping transition technique that allows you to connect with your audience and keep them engaged. So let's look at an example of the recapping phrases or words that we can use. Like I said earlier, using different words to repeat, to emphasize, to repeat your main point. Like we can say repeating using different words. Maybe along the line as you're presenting or giving your speech, maybe presentation in this case, as we have discussed, maybe you're talking about climate change, the impact or effect of climate change. As we have discussed the effect of climate change, then along the line again, you will say, like I earlier said, as we have discussed, it's the same thing as like I earlier said, but you don't want to continue to say as we have said. Then you use other words to repeat what you have said, just to make emphasis on that which you are discussing. And then you ask questions. Asking questions along the line also keeps your is a technique, is a transition technique that will keep your audience with you, on the same page with you. Like, for example, based on what we've discussed so far, how, maybe let's say, how has climate change affect your life? Along the line, you can also throw a question like saying, does that make sense? And you wait for a response. Now, you're carrying them along with you, and you're ensuring that if they are not able to answer the question, so you know that you have lost them somewhere. And then because of that, you will incorporate more transition techniques that will bring them glued to you. Are there any questions so far? You wait for the questions, and that way you carry them along with you. So the basic reason why recapping is important is that it ensures that your audience are with you on the same page and they understand what the message you're trying to send. Now, looking at so basically those are the three techniques that we use. And if you look at it carefully, as in our conventional way of giving speeches, Toastmasters, when we use those three techniques, it is going to be very effective for the structure of any of our speeches. Now, these are other additional transition phrases and words that can be used, and I have categorized them in such a way that they'll be easy for us to understand, because we give speeches now and then, and we're expected to give speeches according to a very beautiful structure. Now, look at transitions for adding information. You can, such as additionally, furthermore, more so, in addition, and then likewise. These are typical examples of of transitions for adding information. And for example, let me give an example. Last week, I was able to complete my project ahead of schedule. Furthermore, I was able to assist two of my colleagues with their tasks, which helped them to create a more collaborative and productive environment. Now, I used the word furthermore here as an addition to connect one sentence to the other, and using that effectively will engage your audience. Now, transitions for showing cause and effect, such as consequently, as a result, therefore, because, due to, since. Let me give an example. Kayode Yusuf, DTM, is a prolific speaker as a result of being an active member of Toastmasters. That's a typical example. Transitions for comparing and contrasting. In comparison, on the contrary, however, on the other hand, likewise. A typical example is, many people assume that cats are aloof and independent. On the contrary, recent studies have shown that cats are social creatures and form strong bonds with their owners. However, unlike dogs, cats are often less interested in pleasing their owners and are more likely to act in their own terms. So that is I use two phrases here of comparison to make a sentence. So the other one, transitions for concluding. As usual, we're expected, as we're taught as Toastmasters, to always have a conclusion. So transitions for conclusion could be in conclusion, finally, to sum up, to summarize, in short. So an example of that is, in summary, while there are many challenges facing our society, we have the power to make positive change through collective action. To sum up, let's all commit to doing our part to create a better world for ourselves and future generations. Finally, I want to thank you all for your time and attention today. So that's a typical example of using transitions for conclusion. So these are examples that we could use, and when we use effectively to join our sentences, it will engage our audience and carry them along as we provide the message we intend to give at the end of the day. So the goal of transition at the end of the day is to ensure that your speech or presentation is clear, coherent, easy to follow, and it keeps your audience engaged to ensure that they understand and retain your message. So let's practice using transition techniques in our, not only our presentations or our conventional speeches, but also in our, in our conversing with other people also in one-on-one. When we use it, it will help improve our communication styles or skills, and it will end up they make our messages all the time, make our messages more clear. And because the main purpose of any speech or any conversation is for you to deliver the message effectively. So using transitions will help you achieve that at the end of the day. So with that, I think I would throw a question to the floor, and let's see who that, and I would let's get an answer. If you have the answer to it, you can raise your hands or maybe send a chat in the chat box. So I think most of us are familiar with Ramona J. Smith, our 2018 Toastmasters World Champion, with her speech Still Standing. Now, if you hear the speech in the body of her speech, she talked about three things. And then this is how she started. She said, round one, college. And she talked about college. She said, round two, marriage. And she talked about marriage. And then she said, round three, speaking. And she talked about speaking. So what kind of technique did she use here? Let me hear from anybody. If you know the answer, just raise your hand, or maybe just send a message through the chat box. Let's see what do you think she used here? Okay, who do we have? Mr. Moderator, please can you help me? Who do we have? Who is raising their hands? We have
let me look. Who is raising the hand?
We have Frank Nzogang.
Yes. Frank,
so Frank, over to you.
Good
Help
evening.
Us with this. Good evening.
And thank you for this insightful presentation. I have learned a lot. The technique used by the champion was, I think, signposting, where she gave direction in a chronological order.
Okay. Can you give me, from what I just said, what are the words here that is signposting?
Actually, she mentioned chronology by saying round one, telling us that we are going to round one, and round two, and finally round three. That's what she did.
That's signposting, showing us the direction she's going to go through. Who else has a contrary or additional information to contribute as far as this question is concerned? Anybody else? Okay, so let me provide the answer. Like I can see the red card is up. So just like Frank said, it is very correct. She used signposting by saying round one gives us a direction, round two gives us another direction, and round three gives us another direction. But if you look at it carefully, it was two techniques in one. She used signposting at the same time she used previewing, because she said round one, college. So the college there it gives us a preview of what she's about to discuss. And she talked about college. So automatically her audience knew that, okay, round one, given a direction, college, given the preview of the structure, she's going to talk about college. Round two, marriage. Round two, a direction, and then marriage is the preview, giving us a preview of what she's going to talk about, because after that she talked about marriage. And then round three, speaking. And the speaking there gives us a preview of what to expect, because she talked about speaking at the same time. So with that, I think with that little exercise, I will have come to the end of the presentation, of my presentation. And what I did just now by giving you this question is actually using the recapping technique by asking questions, and it showed that Frank, and I'm sure others were with me throughout the presentation till the end. So that is a typical example. What I did is a typical example of how to use one of the techniques. So you can go ahead and use all the techniques. I hope that you have learned a lot from the training, and I thank the organizers of the training for giving me the opportunity to learn and at the same time share my knowledge. Over to you, Mr. Moderator.
This is just amazing. I'm so sorry I won't be able to open my camera because the light has been cut off here in my neighborhood. So it's going to be all dark behind me. So please listen and just give a round of applause. That was a wonderful presentation by Toastmaster Khadija. This was so insightful. This was so interesting. I learned a lot. I felt like it was too fast because I learned so much about the signposting and all the other transition. I didn't know that making transition could be so elaborate. So this was just wonderful. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Khadija, for this elaborate presentation. You really went into deep details, to explain to us how we can do beautiful transition. And so now we have a couple of questions. I think we have one question in the chat, and I'm going to put that question to you. And this is the question. The question is, how do you incorporate seamless transitions when you are in a discussion panel, especially when you don't know what your co-panelist will say or do? Did you get the question? Do I have to repeat it?
Yes, I did. I got the question. So how do you infuse seamless transitions, especially when you don't know what the other panelist is going to discuss? So usually, I think when you are being invited to a panel of discussion, you're given an area of what you're given, maybe a clue. Maybe in this case, I can refer to preview of what to expect. So perhaps you would it's going to be easy because you know what you're going to talk about. So it is not like you're arguing with the other panelists. You know what you're going to talk about. So perhaps you just structure the most important thing is not about the other panelists, it's about your audience. And your most important, or the goal of your presentation, is to send the message to your audience in a clear and coherent way, keeping them engaged. So basically, perhaps you would just structure your own presentation in such a way that it aligns and it connects with your audience as against the other panelists. So did I answer that question?
Yeah, I think that you answered the question. And we have another question from Luca, who is asking how the transitions align with body language.
Okay, so they align if you internalize your content. Like if we go back to the example I gave about the speech from Ramona J. Smith, if you haven't seen that, maybe you afterwards you could Google it and check the presentation. You'll find out that when she gave that example, round one, she said she moved from one part of the stage to the other. She stopped at one place and she said, round one. That's what she did with her hand, just like it's been done in a maybe wrestling or boxing ring. Round one, like that. So it depends on how you're going to do it. Like furthermore, if you're going to use an example, a simple one, furthermore. Furthermore means you're adding something. So just like if you can watch me, furthermore, I'm using my hand. Furthermore, you understand? Do you understand? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think we do understand pretty
Okay.
well, Team Khadija, pretty
so, like,
well.
Furthermore, or when you come to finally, or maybe, or if signposting that first, you have first, second, then, finally. So if you internalize your content, I think you'll be able to align it with your movement so that it makes it more engaging, and it's easier for people to, even if they can't hear you, they can see your hands and your body gestures, and they know exactly what you are trying to portray. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that was quite clear. So let me maybe have 2 or 3 or last questions. So there is that question from Isa Yomenu Bukari that said, congratulations, Team Khadija. Is it possible to have the recording and the slide, please? So let me just answer this. Yes, this meeting is being recorded. We're going to share the link on our platform so that you can watch it later on. Is going to be possible to do that. And now the another question is, should we raise your voice during the transitions?
Yes, it will make it more impactful if you raise your voice. Referring to that speech of Ramona J. Smith, all the places she made those transitions, she raised her voice to make impact. Because when she raised her voice, it immediately, I'm sure immediately, because from from the response she got from the audience, you'll find that the moment she raised her voice, all of their attention was with her. So it's important that you raise your voice to emphasize what's about to happen and to also make it more impactful.
Excellent. So maybe that's going to be the last question now. Can a transition be used when someone has a blank? Let's say someone is given a speech and the person just has a blank. Can the transition be used in order to fill the blank?
Yes, that is one of the most effective way to actually put yourself back to balance and bridge the gap between your thoughts trailed off, and instead of making these filler words, take a pause, and then transit and use transition words or phrases to continue. It makes it seamless, and it doesn't really show that you have actually missed your thoughts, and it is an effective way actually to bridge that gap between your audience noticing that your thoughts have trailed off, and it also brings you to balance, and it makes it seamless for you. It's an effective
We're having
way.
a great Excellent. Thank you, Tim Khadija. We're having a great conversation here. Now, this is going to really be the last question that we just received on the chat from Aimé, and he's asking are some transition better in the introduction of your speech or the better during the speech? So when is it better to insert a transition?
Now, like I earlier said at the beginning of my presentation, it all depends on your presentation. If it's a public speech, like I said, every speeches are either public speeches or presentations or even conversations. So it actually depends on which one you are about to, which one you are involved in. If it's a public speech and maybe you want to talk, it depends on your purpose. If it's an informational speech and you want to talk about something that we don't know about, perhaps you could start in the beginning. You could start in the beginning. Like I said, I think the example I gave was that I think Ricardo Liu, he started by saying, first, this is what I'm going to do. Second, this is what I'm going to do. And if it is a presentation also, maybe you are the boss in your office, or maybe not even the boss, maybe the head of the department, and you're expected to present something in the office. So now you can use a recap. No, not a recap. A preview is always efficient in the beginning, because you want to tell your audience, you want to give your audience a view of the structure of what to expect. So it all depends on what you're about to give. Ramona didn't use any transitions in the beginning. It was when she came to the body of her speech, and because the body of the speech is divided into three. So that was when she used those the signposting alongside the preview. So it all depends on your content, really, how you want to present. So it all depends on that. If you want to catch the attention of your audience in the beginning, you can start from the beginning. If you want to make some sort of introduction before diving into the most important part of your conversation, then you leave it till when you come to the important parts, and then you make your transitions so that it's more memorable and more impactful. So it all depends on your content, really.
This is just amazing. I think that if we're in a room full of people, we just clap. I invite all the people in the room, in the virtual room that we have tonight. Please clap for Toastmaster Khadija. This was just an amazing presentation and a great conversation that we had on transition. I didn't know that we could have such an interesting topic talking about transition, but TM Khadija made it so lively, made it so interesting. So thank you so much for coming on this after work and for making this beautiful presentation, TM Khadija. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
All right. Excellent. So we're going to move to the next item of our after work tonight. I say that I'm very sorry I cannot open my camera because there's no light here in where I am now. But it's fine. It's fine. You can hear my voice, and we can now hear and also listen to the next person that is coming on the show, that is coming on the after work. We're going to have, and I hope that all of you guys at home have prepared a glass. Please prepare a glass. put in some juice, put in some water, put in whatever we want to drink. We're going to raise our glass. We're going to present a toast. Et la personne qui va présenter ce toast n'est autre que le Toastmaster Marcelin Akpadé, qui est déjà sur l'écran. On va le voir tout à l'heure. Alors, qui est Marcelin qui va nous présenter le toast ce soir? C'est un Toastmaster et c'est un étudiant en médecine. Il a rejoint Toastmaster il n'y a pas très longtemps. Il a rejoint Toastmaster en février 2023 et il vient du club 2IE Toastmaster Club de Ouagadougou. Donc, nous sommes très heureux de te recevoir, Marcelin, et c'est à toi le lutrin virtuel pour le toast de ce soir après cette merveilleuse présentation que nous a fait Khadija sur les transitions dans nos discours. Et justement, c'est à toi maintenant. Et nous faisons la transition avec toi. Marcelin, c'est à toi.
Bonsoir, bonsoir. J'espère que vous me recevez.
Parfaitement, Marcelin, parfaitement.
Parfaitement, oui.
Bon. Je vois que c'est un peu sombre ou bien à votre niveau, est-ce que ça peut aller?
Écoute, si tu peux avoir un peu plus de lumière, ce ne serait pas mauvais parce qu'on voit une ombre. On voit pas effectivement ton visage, on voit qu'il y a une ombre. Si tu peux avoir un peu de lumière, ce serait excellent parce qu'on veut voir ton verre se lever pour qu'on puisse le lever avec toi.
D'accord, un instant. Est-ce que
C'est
ça
beaucoup
peut
mieux,
aller?
Marcelin. C'est beaucoup mieux. C'est beaucoup mieux que tout à l'heure.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup pour cette marque de considération. Merci infiniment pour cette présentation. Euh, Merci infiniment à toutes ces personnes ici connectées. Malgré la journée chargée, malgré le travail, vous avez donné votre temps pour être là. Merci infiniment. Et merci également à toute l'équipe qui ont œuvré pour que cette soirée soit effective. Voilà, je remercie énormément à tous ces leaders Toastmasters qui œuvrent de jour en jour pour notre communication, pour l'apprentissage quotidien. Alors, en tant que porteur de toast, j'aimerais vous inviter à rendre disponibles vos verres comme le mien parce que vous en aurez besoin. Vous en aurez besoin pour soutenir ces leaders qui nous impactent à travers leur manière de communiquer, qui nous impactent à travers leur manière de transmettre le message, à travers leur façon de donner leur discours. Et permettez-moi de rappeler que ce soir, nous sommes en train de parler sur l'utilisation effective des phrases de transition ou encore ce qu'on appelle les connecteurs logiques. Voilà, on ne peut pas parler de discours sans parler des connecteurs logiques parce que ces mots peuvent paraître insignifiants mais ont tout le sens dans le discours. Ces mots donnent tout le sens d'un discours et on ne peut pas. Et quand un locuteur ou quelqu'un est en train de parler, ça permet de parler d'une idée, ça permet de passer d'une idée à une autre, ça permet de rendre le message clair, comme le disait notre formatrice, au niveau au niveau de l'audience. Voilà, les connecteurs logiques ont un super pouvoir et j'invite tous ces leaders qui nous font vibrer chaque jour, chaque nuit à travers la communication, de les utiliser amplement. Alors, ce soir, j'aimerais porter le toast à l'endroit de tous les leaders Toastmasters et spécifiquement à l'endroit des leaders du district 130. Et permettez-moi de toucher de doigt ces trois personnes que je vais nommer tout à l'heure. Il s'agit de la déesse du secteur 14. Je vais nommer Madame Sylvie Tougma, du DTM Adja Zalia Mantoro et du DTM Sylvie Dambélé. Ces personnes sont des communicatrices qui m'impactent personnellement et à chaque fois que j'ai l'occasion de participer à une session avec ces personnes, je me dis, waouh, aujourd'hui, je vais apprendre quelque chose. Aujourd'hui, je vais rentrer avec encore, je vais rentrer, je vais rentrer beaucoup plus grandi. Je vais rentrer avec encore des informations beaucoup plus importantes. Et ce soir, j'ai décidé de porter cette marque de reconnaissance, cette marque de distinction à leur égard pour leur dire merci, merci pour tout ce pour tout ce qu'elles font, pour la transmission. Je vais dire, ces personnes, ces communicatrices ont une manière de transmettre les messages qui donne envie à celui qui écoute et qui permettent à celui qui écoute de ne pas se lasser. C'est des communicatrices hors pair, c'est des, je vais dire, des baobabs, des personnes qui ont une certaine aisance de transmettre ces informations ou ces messages à travers les discours. Et ce soir, alors que nous sommes en train de parler de genre des transitions dans les trucs là, j'aimerais vous inviter à me soutenir, à toaster ou à porter le toast en leur santé, à leur dire que nous sommes reconnaissants pour tout ce qu'elles font. Nous sommes bien conscients de tout ce qu'elles font. Et ce soir, c'est l'honneur me choix de leur rendre hommage en leur disant merci, merci infiniment pour tout. Et aussi inviter tous ces amis Toastmasters qui nous impactent à travers leur discours, de continuer à nous impacter en prenant en compte ou en utilisant les phrases de transition qui sont des points clés des points clés d'un discours. Donc, sur ce, j'aimerais vous inviter ensemble à prendre vos verres comme moi et puis à toaster en leur disant merci, merci infiniment. Et chers Toastmasters, distingués invités, amis, allez, rejoignez-moi et célébrez ce petit toast en leur honneur en disant merci à ces braves dames que je viens de citer et à tous ces leaders aussi. Merci infiniment.
Levons donc nos verres à toutes ces personnes que Marcelin a citées, remercions-les, reconnaissons le travail extraordinaire que ces personnes font chez Toastmasters pour inspirer, pour guider, pour diriger. Merci infiniment, Marcelin, pour ce toast qui était en l'honneur de ces personnes que tu as citées, nos amis Toastmasters, qui ont fait et qui font encore un travail extraordinaire et tu as pu le relever dans ton toast. Merci infiniment. Merci, merci
Merci.
beaucoup et nous te souhaitons une très très bonne soirée et
Allez,
à
merci.
te revoir très bientôt sur d'autres activités du district 130. Merci. Alors à présent,
D'accord.
chers amis, nous allons continuer, nous allons progressivement vers la fin de notre session qui a été très très intéressante avec une présentation extraordinaire de Khadija sur les transitions. Je vous invite, lorsqu'on aura partagé le lien de cette session, à la réécouter. Il y a beaucoup de choses à apprendre. J'ai l'impression qu'on a passé très rapidement beaucoup d'informations qu'elle nous a données. Vous pourrez après réécouter pour digérer encore un peu mieux cette information-là. Alors, nous allons passer à présent aux annonces que nous avons ce soir. Et là, je vais m'appuyer sur notre Zoom Master qui va nous passer les annonces. Et vous savez évidemment que l'année prochaine, nous avons Niamey. Il y a Niamey en 2025. Est-ce qu'on peut avancer avec les annonces Zoom Master? Et je sais que de toute manière, on possibilité de payer avant le 31 décembre 45 000 francs, donc 75 dollars pour votre inscription. C'est jusqu'au 31 décembre. Et au-delà du 31 décembre, ce sera 60 000 francs CFA, c'est-à-dire 100 dollars à partir du 1er janvier. Donc, Niamey, préparez-vous s'il vous plaît. On arrive à Niamey l'année prochaine. Je pense que c'est au mois de mai 2025. Niamey, nous voilà, on arrive. Et la prochaine annonce concerne the next announcement is about marking your calendars, information and exchange sessions of the CGD, very important. And the topic here is member mentorship, a key to club growth. Et ici, donc, on parle du mentorat des membres, une clé pour la croissance des clubs. Alors, gardez la date, ce sera dans 2 jours. C'est le 11 décembre 2024 sur Zoom à partir de 19h UT. Donc, c'est quelque chose de très important. On veut faire grandir nos clubs et donc, il est important de participer à cet événement dans 2 jours. Gardez cette date. Information and Exchange Session, le member mentorship est key to club growth. Et on va vers la dernière annonce de ce soir qui, elle, va parler de toute autre chose. Et là, vous savez qu'on a eu la nouvelle version de Pathway. Et là, on a le Pathway Lab qui va répondre à toutes vos questions sur Pathway. Il est donc question pour vous d'avoir un guide, des astuces et des informations
On parle de ça, quoi. Parce que ça, il y a de la marge à te faire.
pour utiliser le Pathway. Et là, c'est tous les jeudis à partir de 21h UT. Donc, c'est très important également. Donc, il est important
pouvoir se connecter tous les jeudis à partir de 21h pour en savoir davantage sur le Pathway qui est tout nouveau. J'ai vérifié, j'ai visité et c'est vraiment quelque chose de merveilleux. La nouvelle interface est très user-friendly, elle est très gaie, elle est très agréable avec beaucoup de visages souriants et des contenus qu'on peut accéder beaucoup plus facilement. Mais vous pouvez y accéder également, avoir beaucoup plus d'informations grâce au Pathways Lab qui est tous les jeudis. Donc, jeudi dans 2 jours, dans 3 jours, vous pouvez vous connecter également pour avoir plus d'informations. Nous arrivons pratiquement au terme de cette belle session que nous avons eue ce soir et nous allons à présent appeler l'un de nos Zoom Masters pour pouvoir nous dire, parce que maintenant c'est le temps de se connecter les uns aux autres. Nous sommes en ce moment, alors 39, nous étions 41, nous sommes 39 en ce moment sur cette réunion et c'est la possibilité que nous avons à présent de discuter les uns avec les autres, de nous connaître les uns les autres et de discuter de certains sujets qui nous sont peut-être communs. Et je laisse donc la parole soit à Valérie, soit à Alex, l'un de nos Zoom Masters qui va nous expliquer comment est-ce qu'on fait pour entrer dans ces salles. Et pour rappel, ces salles sont importantes parce que quand vous entrez, présentez-vous s'il vous plaît, dites de quel pays vous êtes, de quel club vous êtes et discutez les uns avec les autres. C'est un moment d'échange, c'est un moment de réseautage que nous voulons également lorsque nous terminons ces after-work. Et ça prendra à peine 20 minutes et après on pourra se déconnecter. Je vous laisse la parole, cher Zoom Master, pour nous expliquer comment on entre dans ces breakout rooms.
Merci, cher coordinateur. Donc, je tiens à préciser que les salles sont déjà lancées et pour y accéder, vous avez plusieurs options. Vous pouvez soit, si vous êtes sur votre téléphone, regarder au niveau du coin supérieur gauche, vous allez voir 4 petites cases où vous pouvez cliquer là-dessus et accéder à l'une des salles. Ou bien vous pouvez venir plus bas au niveau de la bande où vous avez le micro, la caméra et autres. Donc, si vous voyez un peu plus à gauche, plus à droite plutôt, vous allez voir également des icônes dans 4 petites cases qui peuvent vous permettre de vous connecter à l'une des salles.
Voilà, je pense que c'est clair. I think that it's very clear. So you have at the extreme, the upper side of the screen, click there on the breakout rooms. You have some topics related to what is discussed in the room. Just click there and then you can have access to those rooms and let's have a 20-minute discussion with each other. Let's get to know one another and, let's have a conversation. We've listened to TM Khadija, we've listened to Toastmaster Marcelin, and now we can listen to each other, to one another when we go into those rooms. And, let's just go into those rooms and let's have a great time talking to one another. I see that we're still 31, not many people are going into the room. Peut-être qu'il faudra encore expliquer, j'espère que la traduction fonctionne, peut-être faudra-t-il encore expliquer pour que les uns et les autres puissent aller dans les salles et qu'ils puissent continuer les discussions à l'intérieur des salles. Je pense que ce sera, parce que je crois que ce sera nécessaire, parce qu'on on est toujours au 30, ok, ça commence à diminuer. Je pense que les salles commencent à se remplir, me semble-t-il. Est-ce que tu peux confirmer, Zoom Master, que les salles commencent à se remplir?
Oui, cher
Oui, les
coordinateur, oui.
participants rejoignent au fur et à mesure les différentes salles.
Très bien, c'est parfait. C'est parfait. Alors, je rappelle simplement les salles. Hein. I remind you of the room. Nous avons banque et finance, formateur et coach, vente et marketing, technologie, comptabilité et gestion, architecte et ingénieur, écrivain et créatif, entrepreneur, administrateur public et politicien, professionnel de la santé. Voilà les quelques salles que nous avons. Si vous êtes intéressé par un de ces sujets, ou si alors c'est le domaine de votre activité et vous voulez partager quelque chose d'intéressant sur ce domaine-là, rejoignez une de ces salles, discutez avec les autres Toastmasters. Comme on l'a dit, c'est également l'occasion pour vous de faire la connaissance d'autres Toastmasters. Je ne connaissais pas Toastmaster Khadija. Je l'ai rencontré dans le cadre de cet afterwork et je resterai en contact avec elle parce qu'elle m'a marqué par sa présentation. Pareil pour Marcelin, il m'a marqué par son toast il faut que je reste en contact avec eux. Nous sommes une grande famille, la grande famille Toastmaster. Alors, je nous encourage à entrer dans les salles qui nous intéressent et en 15-20 minutes, ayons des discussions et des échanges les uns avec les autres.